In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and so on, may I attain Buddhahood for all the sentient beings. Okay. Now, it's been quite a long time that we put a gap between our class. It's nothing unusual with me, so you all are used to my way of punctuality. So this morning, today was a great day because His Holiness gave such a inspirational teaching to the Korean people, and then there's so many points that we need to keep in our mind, remember and contemplate. And His Holiness has given so much evidence that the way that the level we are at that what kind of things that we need to put our effort in, that His Holiness made very clear this morning. So, and His Holiness given so much kind of his own examples. Particularly, he said that I guarantee you, those are the things that it's very rare to hear and very important to hear, and it's the stress that His Holiness has given the point, and that we should be very happy that we have this kind of a teacher and a guru in our life, that if we put an effort like His Holiness has done, and the way His Holiness has shown the path, that no doubt that in this life we can achieve what His Holiness has guaranteed us. So please, in the future, that we will have more opportunities with His Holiness, and that what are the points that we really need to take away from His Holiness teachings. So please keep that in your mind. So it's just like I just wanted to say that. So now let's go back. Oh, then His Holiness said if people have some difficulties with anger, attachment, and then family issues, and also some guru devotion problems. So then His Holiness said, make a friendship with Shantideva. So this is what we are trying to do. So let's all study together now. Okay, so now we are left our previous class at the verse number 78, I guess. Right, Kelsey? Yeah, okay. Here it is talking a little bit about jealousy. And then, so it is quite important to know jealous.
Jealous, yeah.
Jealous. It is important to know what is jealousy. How does that come? So then remember His Holiness word that he most of the time when he gives teachings, he always comes with the Aryadeva's quote saying that all the negative emotions are it comes from the main source of that is the ignorance mind. So then that ignorance mind, after that, then maybe so much
The sort of mistaken conception regarding the nature of things.
So this kind of mistaken mind, then we bring so much information that we can say too much information on that. Then when you get information, something that you wanted to know, then attachment. You get the information that you don't like, then it becomes the anger issue. And then you come to know that the person whom you don't like, that you see some good qualities in that person, and then actually you are confused. You appreciate the good qualities, but because you like the good qualities because of the attachment, and then you dislike the good qualities of your enemy because of the anger. So here, this mind, which is a jealousy, is so confused. So now Shantideva, very kind teacher of us, is actually debating with the mind which is jealous. So this is this debate system. It's not debating with the other people. There's no second person. You're debating with yourself. So let's look at the number 78. Shenyang tedar de jurushe kete köde di mindu lange jinso pang bichir tongdam ma tong number 78, please.
It is said that others are made happy through being praised in this way. If in this way you do not want them to have this happiness, then since it makes them happy, you should cease giving wages and the like to your servants. However, you would be adversely affected both in this and future lives.
So we should ask this question to ourselves. When somebody comes and start praising your enemy, that you know that she or he has that kind of qualities, and then at the moment it is a very difficult to listen to this, because the anger issue is there, and it's sometimes it is difficult to say there is a it's related to anger, because you feel like you have an excuse saying, I don't like that person. But it is difficult to say, even though that your friend knows that he or he is your enemy, and then it will, if that person will say, you are so biased, you have to listen to the good qualities of your enemy, and then your answer is very, very toto, very
condensed, a very condensed way of thinking.
Yeah, because you won't differentiate between the good qualities and bad qualities.
Yeah, it's very
here.
It's very unsubtle, actually. Yeah, it's a kind of sense where everything is brought together, so it's not subtle. You're not differentiating clearly between things in your answer.
Yes. There, if you remember, sometimes His Holiness bring this saying, we should differentiate with person and its jeba is
their action or behavior.
Behavior. So this becomes very important. So now, if like Kadamba lamas, when they hear the qualities of their enemy or any kind of a person, they will force themselves to, if that person has this kind of quality, may I have this quality in me too. So it's a very strong practice. You have to force here, because you know that you are being very biased and you are going on a wrong track. So you force yourself in here in a very positive force that you are bringing in. So we have to fold our hands and say, we don't know that if your enemy has this kind of qualities, but if, it's a very important English word, that if is very important here. If my enemy has this great qualities, may I have these qualities, and may I become like him. So this is very important here. So then now Shantideva here is asking us, if somebody says that that and that person has a good qualities, and then if you wanted to praise, okay, and then what is something pushing you not to say that words, right? Who is pushing you? So then
what is holding you back? You can say that.
Oh, you're holding you back. Right? And then the answer is, oh, if I said that, and then if he or she hears that I'm praising her, that she will be happy or he will be happy, that is not I want. The dua and dua in this text. And then the bid, the example here, and the workers or since it makes them happy, you should cease giving wages and like to your servants. The bid can do now. This is debatable.
So how the example works is debatable.
How the example works. So let's think. Now my English is not helping me much, so I was speaking in Tibetan. 제상가 신 수수 달이야 아니 연된 통제 떠러 당비나 아니 수수 그래서 우리 떠러 당비가 까리 요르바 깔려 용야디 가르도 스테이지 제베까블라 다디 니에게 떠러 당비나 아니 신기디 tö베이나 아니 파종을 가와지그리스 가두그리스 라비나 아니 신 가와디 아니 눈주를 배세치다 봐 변나 수수의 다디 수수의 균에 야고 제버지 수수의 떠러 당부지 정부이나 신 아니 대화 중보디 눈주를 배스 디 눈주 임베이나 아니 수수 제도 아니 저기 레가체니 아니 파종을 라지틱 왔다 레가체베 딜리 라지틱 왔 아니 라지틱이 아니 라지틱이 신 대화 용에 치도 찌요레스 봐 아니 신 대화 용에 치도 라자연테 마드나 찌도 왔 다디 리바 당소 다디 리바니디 칸데 두도스와 다디 리바니디 지난주 공부시하고서 얘기에 따다지 디 배다 통연이 따다 디투면도 이나양 예 삼당 안 지난주 공부지시 제상가 된다니디 들다 소수 미션을 떠러 당비나 신 가와지그리스 가와지버디 니견르베스 디견이나 아니 신기 소소치도 내가 체제 디기 아니 그래서 우리 긴습 찹들려야 김바 될려야 아니 무제버다 라지제니 신 가와제버디 아니 견르베스 어디 니디 칸데스 두고도 되잖아 공부시하고 뭐야래 나게 좀 공부시
So in this connected with this verse is a kind of an argument which takes as its basis a very common thing that's used in the text of joining an example, having an example, and then the actual meaning, and then an example which kind of reflects or informs that meaning. And I've been thinking about this example and the actual meaning in this context here, and I'm not quite sure how to join them together. So I'm going to continue to think about it, and I want you to think about it also, and in the way in which these, the example and the meaning, they can be sort of made to in accord. So what's being said is that in the actual actual meaning, then it says that if there is, if let's say that we see some qualities in our enemies, and then from seeing those qualities, we praise our enemies. Now, what's the difficulty here? What's the thing that causes us to sort of hold back? You know, and what do we need to check? What we need to check? What is it that causes us to hold back from praising them? And then when what our answer comes from that? Well, if I praise them, then they will have they will have a kind of a joyful. They will have some form of joy, and then. So then the question is, okay, so if we praise them, they will have a sense of joy and happiness. Is that other person's joy and happiness, that other person who happens to be our enemy, their joy and happiness? Is that a mistake? And so then so that's in terms of us praising our own enemy. our own enemy feeling happy and joyful about the fact that we praise their qualities, then is that a mistake? Now, the way that the example works in the text is to say that there are often in our lives people that we ask to we ask to do things for us, and in return we pay them remuneration, a salary. And so in that context, when we have to pay them the salary, then when we pay them the salary to these people who are sort of helping us or working for us, then the others will get happiness from receiving that salary. So then applying the same kind of reasoning, then it would say, well, is that happiness that they get from receiving their salary, is that a mistake? And therefore, is it okay to not give them the salary because it's a mistake, these people who have been kind of contracted to work for us? So so that's how the meaning of us praising our enemy and them becoming happy, and then also the example which is given in the text of giving people salary or remuneration for things that they've done for us. And I'm not exactly sure how this works, and so I've been thinking about it, and I would encourage you to also think in these to think about whether this example and the meaning fit together or not, using the same kind of reason.
And the most important verse I found is the last one. That is but you would be adversely affected both in this and future lives. In this life, in our past lives, we made so many prayers to meet with the great beings. And then sometimes we always think somehow we will get the Buddha's fully enlightened activities will come through our gurus only. But then we sometimes forget it can also, we can receive these kind of blessings through the sentient beings. And then especially our enemies. And then for that reason, we might fail in taking advantage to receive these blessings from our enemies and our friends and the family. And then this is the benefit of this life that we can see. What's this?
Yeah, so in the Tibetan, it actually says what's seen and not seen, but this refers to what's seen in this life and then what is not seen, which is the effects in the future life.
And then in the future lives, what if we create some distance, or maybe something, we bring some kind of a bad relation or a bad connection with these and you cannot guarantee that your enemy is not a bodhisattva at all. That's the difficult part. And you cannot guarantee that not guarantee, but we can say this the relation that we have created in this life, that has to be continued in our next life. So this is something that we not seen. So we should be very careful. We should always, even you cannot take the qualities of your enemy as a blessing, but shouldn't 그래서 수수기 다당 엔지 수수기 년龄比那样 차도 접지 충분히나 아니 남산 셈지 다제 제제 된디 얘기 거기 연된디 통모투야디 dum진 가르래도 디삼로 야보제 당체 아니 신의 수수기 견딩 문진 체제 등의 노송아 삼시 단다 par semdi jig karsore parma semdi in a middle way gala shaya tabshi chegu yoris machena ane di kongru chol tangbina roba chado sni di dadang jo chado se di da kongru chado tang roba chado se di chado kongru chol tangbina ane kongru sni di ran juge 디레도가 연된 점벌 시기인데
소수기 콘드레데
콘드로 시년디 콘드로 초도를 송으로봐 차도 시년디
자
콘드로 초도 인도 점be 콘드로 시년디 랑기 연된 맵을 서버 시기
자
점지 어디 차도 빌는데 아니 지금 수수기 듄리야 상제의 전주심비 두버지 슈요에 있나요? 코로나라 차도 충분히나 아니 디단 자와치 얘기 유차로 요래 네가 좀 섭섭해 버렸어.
카레스 고다 라스트 얘기 아스탄기 전체선 버든 쓰기 가서디 저 소소 파로보디기 상기된 전체선 비임바 디르바
어디 바종어도 수수기 다치게 차도 제세기 강사디 상제의 전주 주버들의 용식들이 디 용부이나 디 진바 이나 아니 그런 줄로 차도 개베이나 차도 써야지 시장기 차도래 시장 차도 요즘에 시장기 내가디 연진 점을 치기 디 인도 담당 아주 대화 냠버 치기리스
and so this we need to check we need to check our minds when we encounter these kind of people that we call as our enemies, and they tend to draw on our anger and hostility. We need to check our mind to see, particularly in relation to when if they're kind of qualities, and why we can't check, others may be praising their qualities. Why can't we need to check and think, why is it that we can't see the qualities in them? And then we also need to understand that our inability to see the qualities in them is a kind of a fault in itself, and we need to find a way to kind of level out or smooth out this so that it's not so kind of exaggerated, something like that. The reason that it's a fault to not be able to see the qualities of others, there's one very important reason, and that is that that's often underpinned by jealousy, and jealousy is connected with, in terms of the mental afflictions, is connected with the side, strongly connected with the side of anger. And so someone who is, develops anger is actually then destroy through this kind of jealousy and anger, then is actually destroying one's own qualities, because that's the kind of function that anger has. And another very important point here is that if, let's say, it's possible that the other person that we're dealing with, who is our enemy, that we feel resentment or lack of ability to see the qualities in, could be a Buddha or a Bodhisattva, a great kind of being. That's quite possible. And if we develop jealousy towards them, somebody praises their qualities, or we sort of see the qualities but get jealous about them, or develop anger, then also not only will we destroy our own qualities, but we'll also destroy a potential relationship with those great beings.
Now let's move on to the 79. Rangi yundun jubechi shen la dewang debarche, shen di yundun jubechi rang la dewa dumichi, dewa minduchi sa. 79, please.
When people describe my own good qualities, I want others to be happy too. But when they describe the good qualities of others, I do not wish to be happy myself.
So here, Shantideva, a very skillful master, he has been jemba shiv mangazul temperestan been jemba lana the raw example.
It's a very raw kind of raw, straight on kind of raw example.
Straight on raw example. It is true, because if somebody knows you, or if your enemy or your friend, your teacher, your student, do you say the name that whoever praises you will welcome their praise. It doesn't matter whether it's your enemy, teacher, or you will welcome them. But for you, it's very difficult. You praise to your teacher, oh, of course. And you can praise your family, no problem. But then when it comes to that, you have some kind of a challenge with some people, even in your family or your enemy or something, then somebody praises that person. It becomes very difficult to digest. So now Shantideva here it is saying, if you take all the praises, but when you giving a praise to others, then there is so many 수술이야 떠라카레 땅켄 중비나야 디 수술 떠라 정말 렌토고요. 이나야 랑기 셴리야 윤덴디단 디스치 떠라 땅베가라 차상도 떠라 땅 도움이도 왔어. 봐. 아니 셴지 윤덴 주베가라 아니 수술이 대화 마야치 랑리 셴기 랑리야 떠라 땅도 대화 정말 되도고요. 다 지기 신기 유된 딜레 줘베깔라 소소리야 아니 대화 매요인데 딱 가르쳐 버렸어야지. 이 야고도 와.
So there's a big
디기 가르쳐 거 열었으나 샘디 투바임바 샘디 타고마임바 바이스임바 디두고.
So there's a big question here that's being raised here in terms of how is it that whenever there's others who are praising ourselves, we're always able to come up with a kind of, what's the word, and like kind of like an answer, or it's very easy for us to accept. There are no we don't have any disagreements about the fact that the praise is worthy or valid. But as soon as we turn that around, and it's about us giving praise to others, there is to some extent, we can do it to some extent, but there's always this sense that we can't completely do it, so that it's like a sense that there's something that we can't completely accept or kind of honor about when the tables are turned, and it's in relation to us praising others. And so why is it that and so what this kind of reveals to us, why is it that these two situations are the case? What it reveals to us, that inside our own mind in relation to this situation, there's a kind of dishonesty or bias that's going on. This is revealed by the fact that we can always fully accept praise, but we can never fully give it out, and there's a big question about why that is.
어디지? 다한테는 80 심진 탐제 대 뇌베 창주도는 심제네 심진 랑기 대녀나 대고 대고 지디 토르치스 80 please.
Having generated the awakening mind through wishing all beings to be happy, why should I become angry if they find some happiness themselves?
Now this is the real conclusion, that when yourself, it is very important to take bodhicitta vow. So once who has taken the vow, and you have this kind of a pride inside you, and then with this kind of pride, you can answer this confusion instantly. And that is the reason why His Holiness is saying that I always take taking refuge to the three jewels, and then the Bodhisattva vow every morning. So for us, we are not so much familiar to this way of thinking. So it is not that effective. So if someone who has taken a kind of a commitment or calendar,
Commitment, yeah.
The commitment sincerely, that even my breath I'm taking, it's today I'm alive. The reason I'm alive, for one reason, is to serve sentient beings. If we have this, and then you are not happy with your enemy, because the enemy is becoming he is getting a promotion or something, and you are not getting it, and then automatically the person who has sincerely taken the Bodhisattva vow has automatically, he will feel ashamed of his feeling. So for us, it's difficult. I don't know, maybe it's not appropriate to say us, but for me. So we have to here rethink about why I'm taking a Bodhisattva vow, why Buddha nature is important, why only not liberation is important. So all these questions must be answered here. So for Shantideva, no problem. He can say this, and then he has answer for everything from here. But for us, still, we should be struggling, because the way of getting fully enlightened for all the sentient beings is maybe not that sincerely, or maybe we are doing it maybe because we got sometimes influenced, maybe in a good way, but it's not that strong. And so we have to be bring the full awareness why I need this, why this is important. So then, if your teacher, Bodhisattva teacher, you are a Bodhisattva practitioner, bodhicitta practitioner, and then automatically you go to your teacher and then saying, oh, I have some difficulty because one of my classmates is studying very hard and he gets all the credit and he is doing very well. And when I see him, I feel so unhappy. And then your Bodhisattva teacher looks and you say, how dare you can say that? And you call yourself a bodhicitta practitioner. How dare you? And then automatically, this is the best kind of a direct, what we call it, special instruction. So this is very strong.
Instruction.
But the personal
instruction, right?
Special instruction. Yeah. Okay. Now we are moving on. We have time. Sure. Oh yeah. 80 cheta. 81. Jidin sumchu chang gyawar. Simjen namni. Dojena. Ingur. Nyengyon tong. Nyengyon tsam tongni. Jije tala. Dongar ches. 81.
If I wish for all sentient beings to become Buddhas worshipped throughout the three realms, then why am I tormented when I see them receiving merely mundane respect?
Yeah, it's quite related to the verse number 80. Now here, Jigdun Sumbi Chubi Ne Tangjaba Simjana between Kellen, Tamjana, Simjan Tadala, Ningur, Somjong Tona. So, Chazangata, Dinjigi Chenjugi Semgin, Nabad Suni, any Semdi Pet Jigi Semdi Lo Sur Neve Tonyana, and Simjin Tedan Telea, Yuntere Chuma Tomata. 아니 가와게 지다 아니 꾀를 통하다 아니 맞으면 손에 민중비 삼바세야 된다 진짜 닝지 게지 뒤답 제주 선발을 캡상 첨부도 와 제장가 가대 란족이 코리아 아주 배 울다를 봐 울다세도 좀 비다가게 잘 배도 어버서 잘 봐.
알레 opposite.
opposite charo. The upside down sort of charo. 가르치는스나 수수기 차도 계시기 강사들이야. 아니 괜지 통나 가야. 알아? 유엔텐지 통나 미수별로 들려야지. 다 전주 선발라 전주 그 셈디 뷰타보지 야고 삼단데 니지다. 아니 연된 통나 가야지다 콜 동해지 통바이나 괜지 통바이나 랑싱이 괜데 차바데 니 치기 세제다 심슈 파라지 들리기도 봐 당안 줄로 어디 뭐 요야지 다 알아줘 유 가르래도 빠져 지들이다.
So in terms of these two verses here, that in terms of in terms of seeing, so taking a look at if we're a person who's taken the mind, the bodhicitta vows, the vows of the mind of enlightenment, and is sort of holding that, then from that, with that kind of mind, we should examine our mind, and what we should find is that if we're holding that sincerely, then when we see the sentient beings and the qualities, and we see qualities in sentient beings, then we should there should be a sense of joy and delight, because the sentient beings have qualities. If we see that in some cases in the sentient beings the seeing of faults, then in terms of if we saw our own faults, there would be a sense of renunciation. But when we see faults in others, there should be a sense of compassion that's brought along, because we're someone who is holding the vows of the awakening mind, and so this is a great benefit of the practice of developing or cultivating bodhicitta, But we're not like that at all. We're the opposite. I didn't know the Hindi word, but we're the opposite of that. And you know, if we see the faults in, particularly if we see the faults, particularly in those we don't like, you know, that then if we see the faults, then there's a kind of sense of happiness that arises in us. And if we see the qualities, then immediately there's a kind of sense of jealousy, and we can't bear to see those things. But actually, for a bodhisattva practitioner, it's the opposite. They see the qualities and develop joy, and when they see faults, which inevitably are going to lead to suffering for those beings, then they feel a sense of not just of compassion, but also in the sense, that very strong sense, is that I myself am going to step in to try to help them to be free of those faults. And so we need, so you can see the difference here between the two kinds of person, and we need to look at ourselves and ask, what is the cause of we check in our own mind just to see what is the cause that makes us be that way. It's very important to check.
어디리셔? teacher랑 유니버시티는 라운드 teacher edition. 이 공은 전에 디지털 동아리에 자 지든 다드네 82 소자 관시 큐소와 튜니티니 진짜데 니인지 초 니주나 자 거미 줄 lot of poems 82 please.
If a relative for whom I am caring and to whom I must give many things should be able to find their own livelihood, wouldn't I be happy rather than angry?
답변이 오도와 배는 수수기 다 지가서 그래 심진 버쳐봐 심진의 팬도체 되지가 심진들이야 니 팬도체에서 디제면 버쳐 심진들 팬은리도 그냥 로디 기대 가라 아니 얘기야 팬도체에서 심진스도 차버져 얘기 약가요 이 인도 준비 팬도체에 심진기체도 인상비나 심진들 팬토되고 가라 심진 샴바지 용치들 팬도치니 통도 라린 가오지고 가진스나 콜레야 콜레야 잡결치니 사포르치니 테바라송 세송르치
거기
콜레 사포르치니 미 니버치레소 미스ум버치레소스는 가구요 봐
맞아요. 예.
다 제장가 딘디기 베데 디디스와
맞아요.
만줄라 디미두스 그러잖스나 만줄라 수수기 캘렌디 가르쳐주스나 심지어는 팬도치 액체도 인슬랍 이나양 수수기 팬도치에서 그 심지어 딘하라 하는 수수기 가르쳐 수수기 예와제지 봐 아니 수수기 양 팬도치에서 딘하라 수수기 양 차도체사 차도체스기 미디리야 연대 중소나 야 미스벨로게야 안드레 용도 봤어. 동문의 제비나 콜레야 팬도치스기 심젠텔라 연대단 지 디주기 토레야 코 야고지 통한데 랑신디 가오제고로 봤어. 어디 빼디기 때문에 와.
Yeah. So in terms of this verse here, verse number 82, then I think this is a really good example here, because what it says in the lines there is this: if a relative whom I'm caring and to whom I must give many things. But actually, I think that we should also there's the danger that just also brings kind of sense of attachment to those sort of closer to us. Whereas I think actually it'd also be better to think of this in terms of taking any sentient being and thinking, oh, wouldn't it, so wouldn't it be wonderful if I can benefit? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And the kind of sense of joy about that. But so we need to just differentiate. I think it's better to differentiate that out a little bit. So not just to those that we kind of have a sense of obligation or attachment to, but also to being able to help any sentient being. And taking that situation, if we're sentient being that we have this sort of commitment that we wish to kind of benefit or help them, but if other people show up and also are willing to sort of, so we have a being in front of us that needs benefit or support, and if we're trying to help them, but if other people show up also to help and support that other person, then surely we would have a sense of joy about that. There should be a sense of sort of, almost being helped to do the help. There's a sense of joy about that. But it doesn't go like that. And in the example, in terms of, so we take, what's our commitment? We say that our commitment is to be of benefit to others. Let's put it like that. But actually, if we start to dig into it, and there's actually a kind of division going on, because within the objects of the benefit, the sort of worthy objects of the objects of benefit, within that, we very quickly divide it up. So, for instance, if it's somebody that we have a sense of jealousy towards, then whenever we see the qualities of those person, we won't be able to bear them or to accept them, and so we need to, so we need to be able to, whichever is the kind of object of our wish to benefit, then we need to sort of cultivate the sense of being happy whenever we see qualities within those, and not to divide them up into different categories. So I think this is a good example that's being shown here.
Now 83. Sa tijin dola mindo na tela chanju deokan yin sa kanshi shenjur cho tela chanju semne kala yu sa 83, please.
If I do not wish for beings to have even this, how can I wish for them to awaken? And where is there an awakening mind, and one who becomes angry when others receive things?
So now take away from this quote is quotation is something that whenever jealousy comes, and then automatically you have to bring the awareness, saying, why cannot I accept this person's quality? If I cannot accept this quality of the other person, then it is shameful to believe yourself, or having a pride of holding the lineage of the bodhicitta. And then you can feel that we can feel that we are the failure for the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So that's why we have to always bring the full awareness where that your grasping is stuck. So it is a very important whenever there is a jealousy is coming, then you automatically has to think it is coming from the anger. That anger has come from this attachment. Now I have to investigate where this attachment is coming from, and then we have to knock on the Nagajuna's door, 100% sure. Then if we cannot do that, then most of us, we always, whatever we start, our rituals or meditation or retreat, we always do the homage or take the Bodhisattva. We always say, do the
Mahayana refuge and
the Mahayana refuge. And that Mahayana refuge, we have to, that refuge has to help us. This way of thinking has to help us. So it is like whenever we say it, we have to feel with it. We have to go with the word. So normally what we mostly do, for me, I do very fast Mahayana, the refuge, and then say very big words and think very less and ordinary forever. And sometimes maybe sometimes worse than an ordinary being. So yeah, we make so much trouble. So that's why it is a very important the way Shantideva, why he is bringing so many reasons and examples, reasons, is he said in the beginning, on the first chapter, saying this is Rangi Gewa Kondo Pelchirtam. I wrote this book that it inspires myself.
my virtue, increase my virtue, yes. To increase and stimulate my virtue, yeah. Increase my virtue.
So he said something like that. So we have to always check how this way of thinking really reduces my self-cherishing and self-grasping. So sometimes thinking about only emptiness never gets directly to the self-grasping. And then thinking about all the sentient beings' benefit does not harm your self-cherishing. So it's really important to make the link. So this way of making this link from verse number that to that, you have to check how does this really helps. So then it is a very it becomes so realistic. Once it becomes so realistic, and then you feel you are getting the flavor. So mostly we don't get the flavor, so we just think, oh, this emptiness is important, or this retreat we have to do is very important. We do it, but it does not become our daily life practice. So it always stays with kind of a practice here. When you go into retreat, it's there, but after the retreat finish, practice is finished, and then you do whatever you've been doing. So that is it. So here, this book does not talk anything about going to retreat. It talks about day-to-day life, how our mind is really struggling, and then how to get out from that. So this is the retreat forever. So this is really important. And the good thing is, once you get used to this book, and then you don't need to read the Shantideva's book again and again. So it is part of your life. So this is the otherwise you read 1,000 times. Book is book, it stays here, and the meanings will stay in the book and will not come into your heart. So it's very important. When you read and then try to go back to the content, the outline, that outline should be not in the book's outline. That outline should be somewhere here in your brain. So then it will really help you. That's what I'm thinking. So I have said so many things that I don't do. So I sincerely apologize from but this is what I'm feeling, so I share it with you. I'm not saying I'm doing it, you have to do it. No, 100% no. So so please read it and then try to think about it. So we stop here. Which 85?
83.
Oh, no, 84. Oh, no, 83. Sorry, 83. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Dedication, please.
Sure. Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard day and night through the four reasonings, mind born of reflection of these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chinras who Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantha Vajra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
See you next Wednesday.
Thank you.